Good day. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for being here to attend today's lecture. Today is very important day. Happy New Year to all of you. Maharaji is still is already there with us, and many greetings of happy Kalpataru Day. And Swamiji will speak today on the significance of Kalpataru Day. So we are so grateful to Maharaj Ji for kindly being with us and agreeing to talk to us on this very important topic. And we have circulated a small note also today about the significance of Kalpataru Day that might help you to better appreciate today's lecture by Swami Shantibratananda Ji. Maharaji, for your information, we started this lecture series in the wake of pandemic when people were perturbed by the pandemic and the stress and strain that followed. The idea was to give mental and spiritual sustenance to people and to give them confidence. This is the third 33rd lecture. Uh, we are very lucky to have you, Maharaji. My name is Nirmal Ganguly. I am one of the devotees of the Ramakrishna Vedanta Society of Philippines, Manila, and for many of the participants know you personally, Swamiji, but for the purpose of record, let me introduce you formally. Swami Shanti Bratananda Ji is the minister in charge of Ramakrishna Vedanta Center, Dublin, Ireland. He is initiated by most revered Swami Ranganathananda Ji Maharaj and initiated into the monastic vows by most revered Swami Atmasthananda Ji Maharaj. He stood first during his post-graduation examination and he was awarded doctorate for his thesis titled Swami Vivekananda's Concept of Man, an Analytical Study. He has presented several papers in different universities. He is regular columnist and he has authored books in Kannada language. He had traveled he traveled across Karnataka, India, and addressed over 100,000 youths. He was called by the stage agency to address the government officials and UGC to address the assistant professors, associate professors. His classes on Vedanta live and teachings of Holy Trio are broadcast in the YouTube channel. With this brief introduction, I would like to request our Minister in charge, Udaranandaji Maharaj, to kindly speak a few words, and then Swami Santibratanandaji Maharaj will initiate his lecture, very important lecture on the significance of Kalpataru Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ganguly. I, on the behalf of Ramakrishna Vedanta Society of the Philippines, welcome you all today for this lecture. We are celebrating Kalpataru Divas. It is a very auspicious day for the followers of Ramakrishna. Now, after hearing the talk, we will know how and why. So, before starting, I would like to wish all of you a very happy and prosperous New Year. I hope the pandemic that is giving trouble for last 2 years will subside in this year. It will be less, but still we will have to be more careful and we have to take the responsibility of maintaining social distancing and things, whatever protocols are there. I believe people are becoming restless, more and more restless. So I think this makes this lecture even more eventful because hearing this lecture, contemplating on that, and trying to practice what is preached by the Holy Trio, Sri Ramakrishna, Sharada Devi, and Swami Vivekananda, we can bring stability into our lives and we can face this pandemic in a more better way, in a better way. So, with this few words and without much ado, I would request Shanti Pratanandi to please take the mic and talk. We are very, very grateful indeed, and we are lucky also to have him in our platform. So we are very, very grateful to him for kindly accepting our request. Thank you very much, Maharajji. So, without much ado, I would humbly request you to please initiate the talk. Thank you very much, Maharaj, and thank you everybody for participating.
ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. My humble salutations to the Dharmastapaka who has established the Dharma in these modern times. Sarva Dharma Swarupine is the embodiment of all religions. Avatar Varishtaya, he was one of the best among the avatars. To such Sri Ramakrishna, my humble pranams. This pranama mantra was composed by none other than Swami Vivekananda when he sat in meditation. So it is not a poem, it is not a stotra, rather it is a mantra like Vedic hymn. My humble pranams to Swami Udaranji Maharaj for extending his kind invitation to address all of you, and my happy and prosperous New Year wishes for all of you, and blessed Kalpataru Day, my dear devotees. And I am happy to see the whole globe is there in front of us, because from different parts of country, across the globe, I am able to witness so many devotees. What a beautiful and blessed day indeed. And as we know, the records say that according to the Indian time, the Kalpataru event happened at 3 p.m. Between 3 and 3:08, they say. Exact is 3:08. The Swami Ishatmanji Maharaj was saying 3:08. So more or less on that auspicious time we are having. Though in the Philippines it is a different time, and other parts of the globe there are different time. But since this wonderful event occurred in the India, and this was the exact time how this Kalpataru event actually happened. So we are really grateful to Swami Udaranji. Actually, in this time he has beautifully arranged such a way that we will be able to contemplate on the Kalpataru event, so that we shall all feel blessed. My dear devotees, this wonderful blessed day is called as a Kalpataru by most of the devotees, like Dr. Ramchandra Datta, who was living during Sri Ramakrishna's time, a devotee, most of the devotees. But in the Sri Ramakrishna, the great master, Swami Shardanji Maharaj says that he addresses this Kalpataru day as Atma Prakash Divas or Abhaya Pradhan Divas. Atma Prakash Divas is self-revelation day. Abhaya Pradhan Divas is a day of bestowing fearlessness, day of bestowing freedom. So let me try to discuss both these things on this day. The India is known for its rich cultural, spiritual heritage. Of course, every country, every religion, every culture has its own rich heritage. But in India, it is little more. Why? Swami Vivekananda himself gives an explanation for that. Because the Indians spent 3/4 of the time in speculation, 3/4 of their time in knowledge pursuit. So there are hundreds of scriptural textbooks, hundreds of many sects, many philosophies, many saints, many philosophers. That's why he says every Indian is a born philosopher, because they spend 3/4 of the time in the literature. As a result, we have got Vedas, we have got Upanishads, we have got so many scriptural texts, and we have got mythologies, 18 Puranas, and 2 history books, Ramayana and Mahabharata. And Mahabharata has got 1 lakh shlokas. Till now, it is one of the biggest history book in the whole world. There is no other history book has come out. In this mythology, if you see, there is a story of churning the ocean. This mythology is very important for the entire civilization, for every religion, for every culture, for every civilization. The highest, the truth, sublime truths are easily explained through stories. That's what the mythology according to me. So among the Indian mythology, there is a story which connected to churning of ocean. That is what we call Samudra Manthana. So what is the Samudra Manthana of churning ocean? Actually, there was a quarrel or a fight between gods and demons. So because of their physical power, because of their physical might, many times demons mistreated demigods, and the demons captured the demigods and they tormented, etc., etc. So the demigods got weakened and they felt that we need little more energy and we need a plan to get out from the demigods' problem. They approached Lord Brahma. The Lord Brahma is known for the creator. He is the creator of the universe. So they approached Lord Brahma and they prayed, we are being tormented again and again by demigods, demons. Can we get out from this? Is there any way to get out from this? The Lord Brahma said that you try to do Samudra Manthana, churning of ocean, then you will get the Amrita, that is an immortal nectar. By consuming it, by consuming that nectar, you will become immortal and your energy gets increased and you will be able to handle the demons. After saying this, after hearing this, all the demigods or gods and goddesses, they were all very happy. They felt happy about it. They got finally a plan or a solution. They were about to go. But Lord Brahma gave two specific instructions. My dear demigods, just keep these two things in your mind. When you start churning the ocean, there will be so many attractive items which will be coming out while doing the churning the ocean. It's called byproducts. So don't get moved away, because otherwise your churning ocean process may hamper. It may get hampered. So don't do it. Be careful. Don't get carried over. That's the first thing told by Lord Brahma. And the second point Lord Brahma told, before coming this nectar, Amrita, there is a possibility of coming hala, that is a deadly poison. So be aware of that and be always remember the Almighty, the Lord, and have a surrendering full attitude so that you will be able to get away from this. They all listened to it, but unfortunately, demigods, when they started churning ocean, they started getting so many things like Lakshmi, like Parijata, celestial Airavata. Airavata is the celestial elephant, celestial horse, celestial plant, celestial trees, and celestial women even. Celestial woman. All these were started coming out. Then the asuras and suras, the demigods and demons, they were attracted by this, and they started quarreling each other, and they wanted, I want this, I want this, I want that. As just Brahma had told that, don't get carried over, the churning process will be hampered, but they forgot about the teaching was given by Lord Brahma. As a result, what happened? Since they were quarreling for about the every byproduct, in the due course of time, the churning of the ocean was getting hampered. After some time, immediately they started remembering, we are started for churning ocean and we are fighting for this byproduct. Okay, we will have a deal. One byproduct, let the demigods take, and let one product with the demons will take. So like that it went on, and the hala, the deadly poison came. And again they had forgotten about the Lord, about the surrenderful attitude. So the deadly poison was started spreading, and people started feeling suffocation. All the beings started suffocation. Then immediately they remembered Lord Brahma's talk or teaching or whatever his words. Then immediately they went for very different gods, and finally the Lord Shiva, who is the dissolver, basically the Lord of dissolver, Lord of Pralaya, he came and he swallowed the entire poison for himself, and he protected the entire world, or entire globe, entire humankind. Afterwards, they got the nectar. This is the mythology story. In this mythology story, I already told there are so many byproducts were coming, celestial products were coming. Among them, the one celestial product was Kalpataru or Kalpavruksha. Kalpataru or Kalpavruksha is a celestial tree. If you sit below the celestial tree, and you ask whatever you ask, all your desires and all your boons are fulfilled. All your wishes are fulfilled. Say, for example, if you sit under the celestial tree and if you say that, I want to become a millionaire, yes, it is granted. I want a good woman, it is granted. I want so many animals with me. Yes, it is granted. I want BMW car. Yes, it is granted. So, like the wish fulfilling tree, it is come. Now, with the same sense, even we are using, why I told all of this is because Sri Ramakrishna blessed the devotees, and we say that he became a Kalpataru. So, what the meaning, the technical meaning of the Kalpataru, if we know, then only we'll be able to correlate with the today's incident. That's the reason I told all of this. And coming to Sri Ramakrishna's advent, there was a similar problem in the world history as well as Indian history. After the Renaissance period, due to the advancement in science and technology and specific reference to industrial revolution, there was a lot of movements, lot of changes in society, in culture, in civilization, in humankind. And because of advancement in science and technology and of the industrial revolution, mass production, and they were able to go to other even planets with the help of satellites, rockets, or whatever, people started feeling that, many of them, if not all, many of them, they thought that there is no God, there is no necessity of God, there is no necessity of religion, there is no necessity of spirituality. Why? Because we are able to do anything and everything. We have got so much energy, we can do anything and everything. Saying that, they started neglecting religious aspect, they started neglecting spiritual aspect among themselves, or among the culture, or among the society, or among their own country. So what happened? Finally, the industrial revolution and the materialistic temperament witnessed 2 world wars at the world scenario. In 1893, when Swami Vivekananda visited USA and he participated in Chicago's Parliament of Regions, every one of us, we know that. While addressing the Westerners especially, he says that beautifully, he rightly, that you people are feeling very proud of you. Fine. Yes, definitely. And you have achieved many things to the greater heights in the materialistic progression. Yes. But know it for certain that your whole civilization is on the volcano. At any time, there is a chance of volcanic eruption. Means there will be a lot of wars, there will be a lot of bloodshed. Why? Because you people have neglected the spiritual aspect. The inner conscience, or whatever consciousness, we say inner conscience, we say the spirituality, we say soul or Atman or Brahman or whatever we say from the Indian philosophy point. You have neglected this. As a result, your whole civilization is on the volcano. It can erupt any time. Please try to inject the spirituality among your individuals and also among the society and country. But unfortunately, people didn't listen. And as a result, we witnessed the 2 deadly worldly wars. The same thing had happened, similar case, similar type even in India. In India, because of due to continuous invasions, people had started becoming materialistic, and as well as they started forgetting about religion, they started forgetting about God. In the name of religion, a lot of superstitions had come, and there were a lot of negative and atheistic feelings, and they started doubting their own Vedas, Upanishads, their own world scriptures. All these things, problems were there. Basically, the faith in the God, the faith in the higher spiritual aspect, the faith in the divine principle was under great problem in the India also. This was the time Sri Ramakrishna descended on this earth to save the entire humankind. How? By giving the spirituality. How did he give the spirituality? First and foremost, whatever he told, whatever he preached, he practiced in his life. Whatever the Vedas, Upanishads has told, he practiced. Whatever the Tantras has told, he practiced. Whatever Vaishnava cult has told, he practiced. Whatever Islam had told, he practiced. Whatever Christianity he told, whatever Christianity has told, even the Bible, Jesus' teachings, he practiced. And he said, as many faiths, so many paths. So whatever the ancient seers, our rishis from Indian religion, from Sanatana Dharma, from Hinduism, and especially other major Semitic religions like Islam and Christianity, whatever they have said, it is all true. It is not mere imagination. It is not mere speculation. It is true. It is experienceable and it can be experienced. And I am the testimony for this. And I have experienced all these created truths. So he assured the confidence about God and about divinity to the entire humankind. There's a reason Swami Vivekananda says that Sri Ramakrishna's life is nothing but the spiritual laboratory. His whole life is nothing but the spiritual laboratory. Because he made his life, he's made his body, he's made his mind, he made his time to experience and to make experiments with different religions and also different paths, different sects, different ideas and different sadhanas, etc., etc. And coming back to this mythology story, where after all these things, they got the demigods, the Amrita, the nectar. So similarly, the Sri Ramakrishna also gave the spiritual nectar, emancipation nectar for all the people whoever wished. Many times, as Mahapurush Maharaj, Swami Shivanandaji tells that, many times we have seen Sri Ramakrishna blessed devotees, either lay devotees or monastic devotees. There all the desires were fulfilled, means it's basically spiritual desires. Sometimes even the mundane desires are also fulfilled. He was so gracious, by his grace, by his karuna, hundreds of devotees were dispelled out of ignorance, out of delusion. They got emancipation, they got realization. This is told by Mahapurush Maharaj. Now coming to the January 1st, what did happen? By accepting the sins of many Devotees, spiritual aspirants, as a result, it was told upon Sri Ramakrishna's health and Sri Ramakrishna's birth too. As a result, Sri Ramakrishna had a throat cancer. Due to the throat cancer, he was not able to take food, consume food, and his body was deteriorating, and he had gone very thin, just like his stomach and his back both were touching like that. He had become very thin. And he was taken from Dakshineshwar, that is a Bhautani Mandira place, from there to the Calcutta named Kashipur. He was bedridden almost, he was unable to even get sometimes. But on January 1st, 1886, on that day, interestingly, he felt little better because there was a change in the doctor. So probably of that, so there was a better in his health, he felt better. Then he expressed his desire that let me come down and let me have a small stroll, let me have a small walk. The devotees were happy to see him. So he came down from the Kashipur, Udyanbati Kashipur house. The Kashipur is the extension where there is a house where Sri Ramakrishna lived his last days. When he came down from the building and when he started walking, around 30 devotees were there here and there. Since it was a holiday, they had all come to see Sri Ramakrishna, to receive the blessings of Sri Ramakrishna. But when Sri Ramakrishna came down and he was able to walk, all the devotees felt so happy that our Gurudev, our Guru, our chosen deity, our prana, or our respectable sadhu or whatever. So everyone had their own views about Sri Ramakrishna. They felt very happy that, okay, Sri Ramakrishna is able to walk. That means his health is getting better. So slowly his health will be better and we'll be able to see Sri Ramakrishna like earlier days. A few months before, how he was Sri Ramakrishna, probably he may be able to recover his health. Then slowly walking, Sri Ramakrishna came to Girish Chandra Ghosh. He asked, Girish, I heard that you were saying about me that I am an avatara, I am the incarnation, I am the God, etc., I am the Almighty, etc., etc. The Lord has descended on the earth, etc. Why did you find me such interesting thing in this? So this was the question. Generally, very normally, Sri Ramakrishna asked Girish Chandra Ghosh. Girish Chandra Ghosh, he kneeled down with a folded hands, he told. And the Girish Chandra Ghosh is a great poet, he was a great dramatist, and his contribution in the Bengali literature is noteworthy. And at the same time, he was able to dictate 2 dramas for 2 people. Such a brilliant fellow he was. and he had enacted his own dramas in his own star theater. So he was not a common person basically, but at the same time was a sinner also. He had an immoral life, unethical life. As he says that if I place one of the drinking bottles, how much ever I would consume the drinking, if the bottles, if I keep one above other, the height of the bottles will surpass, and it can overgrow even the Mount Everest. That's what himself, the Girish Chandra Ghosh himself had said about it. I mean, he's such a sinner he was, but at the same time he was very brilliant too. Now, because of Sri Ramakrishna's grace, his life was changed, his mind was changed, his personality was changed. Such a brilliant person, a poet, dramatist, novelist, and he is telling that, oh God, even Valmiki and Vedavyasa, who are the authors of Ramayana and Mahabharata, they were also unable to express you when you were born as Rama and Krishna. Then what a small fellow, a speck of dust, this Girish, what he can explain or what he can describe about you. Where the great sages like Valmiki and Vedavyasa also failed to explain, then what I can do? I'm a common person, a sinner basically. That's what his idea was when he said. But it was not, it didn't come from mind or intellect, it came from the heart. As real humbleness, it came. As a real devotion, it came. Because he had surrendered himself to Sri Ramakrishna completely. That we should remember here. Sri Ramakrishna moved when he witnessed Girish Chandra Ghosh's devotion, when he witnessed Girish Chandra Ghosh's sincerity, when he saw there was a sincere devotion in Girish Chandra Ghosh. Immediately, Sri Ramakrishna's mind went to trance, went to ecstasy, and he said, what can I say? Let all you be illumined. Let you be spiritually awakened. Tumader Chaitanya Hok. This was the exact phrase used by Sri Ramakrishna. What shall I say? Let you all you be spiritually awakened, be illumined. When he went to that transcendental state, ecstasy, and when he touched the devotees, everyone started feeling so many things. So all their experiences can be put into the 4 categories. One, many of them had a vision of their chosen deity, respective. Maybe Rama or Krishna, Ishvara, Durga, Devi, something like that. Whatever their chosen deity was there, so they had a wonderful vision of chosen deity. And the second effect was awakening of Kundalini Shakti, primordial power. Every one of us, we have got Kundalini Shakti, as you know. But Sri Ramakrishna's touch, for every devotee, whoever was assembled there, their Kundalini Shakti, they felt that their Kundalini Shakti is getting raised. And some felt that, some experienced the divine bliss. There's a lot of difference between happiness and bliss. So these people experienced the bliss, divine bliss. And some of them went to ecstasy even. Bhava Samadhi, we say in Sanskrit or Hindi or Bengali, it's called ecstasy, divine trance. So they went to the trance. These are the 4 mainly we can see. These are the effects on the devotees. And the whole atmosphere was spiritual atmosphere. Everyone, irrespective of whoever was there, everyone's mind was lifted to the greater heights. So someone cried, someone shouted, someone started chanting mantras, someone plucked nearby hibiscus flowers or whatever the flowers were available, and they offered to Sri Ramakrishna, and they did a Sastanga pranams or they did pranams. They offered their salutations to him. So for everyone, Sri Ramakrishna touched mostly more, and he said, let you be spiritually awakened, let your desire be fulfilled, let your wish be fulfilled. By this, there is a beautiful spiritual atmosphere, and everyone's mind was transcended to the greater heights. After some time, again it came down, and Sri Ramakrishna walked back and he went to his room. This is the event which had happened. Now, what is the significance of it? This event, many of you can read in a Great Master or any book which is discussed, which is on life of Sri Ramakrishna. Yeah, but if you studied Bhagavad Gita, if you know Bhagavad Gita, immediately a shloka should come to your mind that अपि चेत्सु दुराचारो भजते मामनन्य भाग साधुरेव समन्तव्यः सम्यक् व्यवसितो हि सः. Means even the vilest sinner, if he worships me with exclusive devotion, they are to be considered righteous, and for they have made the proper resolve. This told by Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Even here, the Girish Chandra Ghosh, he was one of the sinner. Probably he had been to prostitute house. He was a chain drinker, as himself said that the bottles, whatever he has drunk, if you keep one above other, it surpasses the height of the even Mount Everest. Such a person also was able to get the divine grace. He was able to get the emancipation. He was able to get the self-realization or God realization. Or he was able to get the divine grace. So what does it mean? It ushers a confidence in all of us. I may be good. I may be bad. I may be completely good. I may not be completely good. I am a mediocre person. I got some goodness, no doubt. I got some badness also, some wicked things also, no doubt, bad habits also. Yes, can I surrender to the God? Can I worship God? Can I get the blessings of Sri Ramakrishna, or Sharda Devi, or Swami Vivekananda, or any of our chosen deity, or of Christ, or of Allah? Yes, you can. This is what we can understand by the life of Sri Ramakrishna, and with special reference to Kalpataru Day. And there was no monastic disciple at all on that day. In that whole event, there was no single monastic person, and everyone were lay devotees, householder devotees. And it is not that everyone were the great saints. No, some were mediocre people, some were good, good-tempered people, some are definitely saints-like people, and some were even sinners. They had committed sins in their life. But all of them, they got the divine grace of Sri Ramakrishna. Why? Because of their sincerity, because of their sincere devotion, because of their straightforwardness. So if we are sincere even from inner conscious, yes, I got this problem. Oh God, please help me to get out from this. Please help me to come out from this. Please let me have your grace. Please shower your grace on me. With sincere devotion and with utmost faith, if we can pray to God in whatever form, in whatever religion we may belong to any cult, we may belong to any religion, we may belong to any philosophy, never mind. In that particular religion, particular philosophy, particular sect, we can also experience the divinity, we can experience the God, we can experience oneself. That's what we can understand by the Kalpataru's day's event. And also one more thing is Shraddha. If you have got a faith, you can achieve anything and everything. Though Girish Chandra Ghosh was a sinner, probably some of us we may feel, oh, I have not committed such a sin like Girish Chandra Ghosh. Yes, no doubt. But after committing such a sin, fortunately, maybe he has done some good deeds in the present, in his present life or in his previous lives, whatever it may be. But he was sincere. He was sincere to his core, and he never did hide and seek. He never wore a mask. Generally, we all wear a mask. I am something inside, and I show myself something to outside. But whereas when he came to Sri Ramakrishna also, he used to come with a drinking. That doesn't mean that we should, if we are drinking, we should drink and come to ashram or come to go to public place because we should not wear mask. That doesn't mean that. Means he was sincere and he was open and he was straightforward. When Sri Ramakrishna asked, he used to say, yes, I have got this problem. I have got this weakness in front of everyone. He never had even image mindedness. Yes, I am like this. I want to drink, I want to go to a particular house, etc., etc. He was open and he was sincere. As a result, Sri Ramakrishna liked it. And he had a sincere, utmost devotion towards Sri Ramakrishna. The faith, Shraddha, Shraddha, Shraddha. Since he had that faith or devotion, that's the reason he was able to get the blessings, grace of Sri Ramakrishna. To such an extent, where Sri Ramakrishna took his complete responsibility. When Sri Ramakrishna says, okay, from now onwards, morning or evening, try to remember God. That's enough, then you will get emancipation or realization or whatever so. Immediately he says, oh, I don't know at what time, in what mood I will be there, what state I will be there, because he was a drunkard. So I cannot promise. If I promise, I should be able to do. then I will not be able to do, I'm sorry. Then Sri Ramakrishna says, if so, then at least whenever possible, you try to remember God or try to remember me. Immediately said, no, even that is not possible. I am very weak-minded fellow. It is not possible for me. Then Sri Ramakrishna tells, okay, then you give me your responsibility to me. I will take care. See, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, the Avatar Purusha, the God, the Almighty Himself is telling that you give your responsibility for me, then I will take care. Probably, if you imagine, we would have been very happy. Yes, you take it. At least I did not do any sadhana. I did not to get up early morning and sit for meditation, japa. I did not to bother about good, bad, right, wrong, spirituality, ethics, morality, so on and so forth. We all feel that probably. Even Girish Chandra Ghosh also felt it, and he gave the responsibility. Sri Ramakrishna said, once you give responsibility, you will not have the freedom. Think that. Girish Chandra Ghosh said, no, never mind, I will give the freedom. And he gave away. Afterwards, Girish Chandra Ghosh said that, oh, it is a terrible thing. Why? Because even I cannot think a small bad thought now, because the moment I start thinking, I will not be able to think. Sri Ramakrishna's face is coming in front of me. Sri Ramakrishna's image is coming in front of me. I am unable to commit any sin. Right? Because Sri Ramakrishna had taken his responsibility. So as a result, slowly, all the sin and the badful thoughts, wicked habits, wrong habits, bad habits, everything went away from Girish Chandra Ghosh and he became the saint. How? Because of the divine grace. Now, this type of divine grace, many people received even during Dakshineshwar time where Sri Ramakrishna lived. Then what is the difference between the earlier days and the Kalpataru day, on the January 1st, 1886? There, Sri Ramakrishna graced many people, many devotees, many spiritual aspirants, no doubt. But it was not in larger scale, first point. And second is, Sri Ramakrishna used to examine them. Sri Ramakrishna used to test them. Only for the spiritual aspirants, for the fit spiritual aspirants, only used to give things, like especially initiation, etc., etc. Or even sometimes his own narration of his experiences. Otherwise, he used to pack away the people. But on the Kalpataru day, his grace became such a thing, it opened, and whoever was there, for everyone they got, except one or two, for everyone received the divine grace of Sri Ramakrishna. There was no checking, there was no examining whether he is a fit person, is an unfit person, whether he is becoming a fit person, means is he eligible to receive the divine grace. No, he didn't make any whoever was there, whoever asked, whoever prayed, for everyone, Sri Ramakrishna blessed. On that day, who was a cook? There was a cook to cook for all these devotees and other people. Even he also came and prayed for Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna even wished, fulfilled his wish of the cook also. So that is the great here. Why? Because we are saying Kalpataru. Even other days, there are so many devotees, so many spiritual aspirants have received the grace, divine grace of Sri Ramakrishna in innumerable ways. But on January 1st, 1886, it became such a way that he showered his grace on everyone, whoever was assembled. That's the reason we call it as a Kalpataru day. But Swami Shardanji says that it should be self-revelation day, according to me. Why? Because Kalpataru means what? Whoever sits under the wish-fulfilling tree, and whatever he asks, whatever he wishes, good or bad, right, wrong, virtuous, unvirtuous, everything is fulfilled. So Sri Ramakrishna is not such a way that. Now if I say example, I should give, please God, give me enough strength so that I should be able to kill thousands of people. If that is your wish, if Sri Ramakrishna is a Kalpataru, and if you pray for that wish, probably Sri Ramakrishna, not probably, certainly Sri Ramakrishna will never fulfill your wish in such a way. But it is not right. So from that sense, he is not Kalpataru. Then in what sense he can be considered Kalpataru? Kalpataru is one more meaning is, he is the most generous person. In the Kalpataru wish fulfilling tree, whoever sits under the tree, for them all their wishes are fulfilled. So it is not that I have to go near Sri Ramakrishna physically, even mentally if I go near Sri Ramakrishna, my desires are fulfilled. Legitimate desires, spiritual desires are fulfilled, no doubt. So that if it is an illegitimate desire, definitely Sri Ramakrishna will not fulfill. So he cannot be considered as Kalpataru in that way, and from the mythological part. That's what he says. And the second is, it can be considered in another way. The meaning of the other meaning of the Kalpataru is the most generous. So Sri Ramakrishna was the most generous person. Why? Because he never bothered about his life. He never bothered about his own body. For example, when Sri Ramakrishna came down from the house down, a doctor had alarmed that people should not touch his feet. And you should see that he should not go to Baba Samadhi or ecstasy or trance. Because if it goes, the blood flows towards the throat and his disease will increase. Second part. Third part, he should not bless touching the people and should not give any mantra diksha, spiritual initiations. By doing that, because he receives the sin of the people and his disease gets aggravated. This is what doctor has told. So most of the devotees had taken a resolution. They had a resolution that we will not touch Sri Ramakrishna's feet. We will not allow others to touch Sri Ramakrishna's feet. We will not allow him to go to trance. And we will not allow the devotees to come to approach Sri Ramakrishna to receive spiritual initiation. All these things were taken. And Sri Ramakrishna himself was very weak, but he never bothered. Even in spite of having such a physical problems, he went to his trance and he blessed everyone. So afterwards, what will be the pros and cons of it? Whether his health may go down, he may pass away, his disease may aggravate, all these things can happen, but Sri Ramakrishna never bothered. And he goes to the extent saying that in one place he says, if I can help a person to see God, to understand who is he, I am ready to take even 20 births. See, Sri Ramakrishna himself is saying, if I can help just one human being to understand who is he, or to have a God realization, or for self-realization, I don't mind to take 20 births, 20 human births. He never wanted anything. We have to achieve something. I want this, I want that. There are so many wants for us, so that we help people and sometimes etc. etc. But in his case, there is nothing to be achieved for him, because he is everything. But still, he helped the people out of compassion, out of generosity, out of karuna. This is the difference between him, his karuna, compassion, and other people's compassion or karuna. This is what we have to understand. So the moment we understand his greatness, the moment we understand his divine leela, what happens? Our devotion will increase towards him. So generosity is the most generous person, means he descended on this earth, why? To help the people, to help the humankind, to uplift the humankind to the divine level, to uplift the spiritual aspirant, to show the path, to show everyone, yes, God is there, God can be experienced, divinity is there, it can be experienced. It is not mere speculation, it is not mere thinking. That's the reason Mahatma Gandhiji, the greatest freedom fighter, he says that when I read Sri Ramakrishna's life, what did I understand? I understood that I can face the divinity. It means I can see the divinity, I can experience the divinity, I can view the divinity. So when you say that Sri Ramakrishna is the most generous, the Kalpataru has to be understood in the most generous manner, means yes, this is the way, because he descended on this earth to give the spirituality for all of us. This is the other explanation which is given to Kalpataru. Then the Atma Prakash Dev's self-revelation day. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yovesti tattvataha tektva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sojuna. Those who understand the divine nature of my birth and of my divine activities, O Arjuna, upon leaving this body, do not take birth again, but come to my eternal abode. The people who can understand the birth of this great avatar incarnation or his divine activities, then they need not to take birth again. This is told by Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita. So this Atma Prakash Devas is self-revelation day. So Sri Ramakrishna told, or he shown his to the entire humanity, to the entire globe about himself. He revealed himself. Like I think he himself has told that I shall make the whole thing public before I go. I shall make the whole thing public before I go. So he made himself public before he's leaving his mortal coil. January it happened, in August he passed away. He left his mortal coil. So before his passing away, he himself made public who is he. Till then, he was covering a shell, he was covering a curtain. Everyone was not able to understand who is Sri Ramakrishna. That's the reason people many times they criticize Sri Ramakrishna as a madcap. Sri Ramakrishna has left. I mean, mental stability is not there, probably because of practicing celibacy and etc. etc. is not able to manage himself. That's why he behaves in a different form, in a very peculiar way, unusual way. He's a mad person. He has lost his senses. He has lost his mental, stamina. So many things people have told. Why? Because they are not able to understand about his spiritual illumination, about spirituality. There were very few people who understood Sri Ramakrishna. It is not that easy to understand Sri Ramakrishna or any divine incarnation. Maybe Allah, maybe Muhammad Paigambar, maybe Jesus Christ, maybe Buddha, maybe Mahavir, whoever so. So we should have some capacity to understand the greater people, or otherwise their grace should be there on us. So here, Sri Ramakrishna made public that who am I or who is he? I am the incarnation, I am the Rama, I was the Rama, I was Krishna, etc. etc. Yes, he is. So it is called Atma Prakash Divas. So by this we can understand very clearly Sri Ramakrishna revealed to the entire humankind, or to the entire humanity, to the entire globe on this January 1st, 1886, that who is he? As himself told to Swami Vivekananda, who was Rama, who was born as Rama, who was born as Krishna, now he is born as Sri Ramakrishna. So we can understand that, yes, he is the divine principle. He was the Lord, he is an Avatara Purusha, his incarnation who has descended on this earth to help the humankind. And the one more, Swami Sharadanji says that Abhaya Pradhan Divas means it is a day of bestowed of freedom from fear. We are all of us, we have got a fear. The biggest fear is Abhinivesha, fear of death, the fear of death. So Sri Ramakrishna blessed the devotees by that they were able to overcome this fear of death, the Abhinivesha, because they got the blessings, they got the Abhaya, fearlessness from God Himself, from Lord Himself, from the greatest incarnation, Sri Ramakrishna Himself. Even you see, in the disciples of Jesus, there are so many disciples, there were 15 or 16 disciples, they never feared for anything after the passing away of Jesus Christ. Why? Because even they had got such a grace from his Guru or from his chosen deity or from his incarnation. Like Jesus said, they never feared for that. Similarly, all the disciples, they had got Abhaya from Sri Ramakrishna. So they never feared in the due course of time. So that is why, apart from Kalpataru Day, it is also called Atma Prakash Divas and Abhaya Pradhan Divas. So God has bestowed the fearlessness. If we can take the shelter at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna, yes, Sri Ramakrishna is there to assure us, He is there to protect us, He is there to take care of us, either in the mundane life or even in the spiritual life. If I would like to realize God, if I would like to realize myself, who am I, or if I want to become a better person, if I want to experience divine, yes, Sri Ramakrishna is there. That is the reason Swami Vivekananda explains Sri Ramakrishna as Yoga Sahaya. In Kandana Bhavabandhana Aratrika Stotram, every day we sing. There he uses one word called Yoga Sahaya. Yoga Sahaya can be interpreted in two ways. One is that using the Yoga Maya, he has descended on this earth. The other is whoever wish to take spiritual path, maybe with the help of Jnana Yoga or Karma Yoga or Raja Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, Sri Ramakrishna is there to help every aspirant. And it should not be only Hindu. Oh, so Sri Ramakrishna only helps Hindus. No. Sri Ramakrishna is there to help for everyone. He may be of Islam, he may be of Christian religion, he may be from Hinduism, he may be from Jainism, he may be from Buddhism, he may be from Shintoism, from any Ism he may be. If he is a sincere spiritual aspirant and he would like to see a God, he would like to perceive the ultimate truth, Sri Ramakrishna has descended on this earth to help every spiritual aspirant, irrespective of creed, country, religion, path, sex, so on and so forth. That is what we can understand here from this Atma Prakash Divas or Abhaya Pradhan Divas. So all these things we should be able to understand. And when all these things, when we contemplate, when we do Leela Dhyana, then it gives a lot of confidence in us. Yes, Sri Ramakrishna is here. Sri Ramakrishna is here. He is the person who very recently he descended on this earth and he helped the people. He has finished his Leela Karya and divine Leela and he has left this mortal coil. He might have left the physical body, but he is there very much. Because today also many monks or many devotees, they are receiving the Sri Ramakrishna's grace and they are getting visions of Sri Ramakrishna. They are experiencing Sri Ramakrishna's existence in innumerable ways. So all these incidents and these special days will remind us Sri Ramakrishna is there, God is there in the form of Sri Ramakrishna. I may be belong to any some religion, some country, some caste or some sect, maybe, but if I take shelter at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna, definitely he will help. And there are a number of examples who, like from Islam religion, from Christian religion, from other religions also, who have taken the shelter at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna. Their desires are fulfilled, their prayers are answered, their wishes are fulfilled, and they were able to go near God, or they were able to experience the divinity. So Kalpataru, he means it is a wish-fulfilling tree. Whatever you ask, everything is given. Probably it is in narrow sense we understand. The Kalpataru means it is the most generous person. The ultimate ones, the spirituality is given by Sri Ramakrishna. He will give Sri Ramakrishna gives. And of course, if you want the materialistic prosperity, even that can be also given. Because one devotee by name Upendra, he asked for material prosperity and he got two. He wanted to become a rich person. He wanted to become a rich person, wealthy person. He begged for Sri Ramakrishna that please bless me, that let me be wealthy person or a rich person. Sri Ramakrishna blessed on that day, yes, let your desire be fulfilled. So he became the rich person afterwards. We can see in the life of Upendra. And it is an Atma Prakash Divas, self-revelation day. So Sri Ramakrishna very openly, publicly, he showed himself who is he. Until otherwise, if he doesn't show or if his grace is not there, definitely we will not be able to understand. So let us all try to understand this. Let us all try to meditate on the Sri Ramakrishna's universal form and his divine grace. And let us feel more and more confident and let us have more and more devotion towards him so that we will be able to go near divinity, we will be able to experience the divinity, we will be able to go near God so that we become better human beings. Thank you for giving such a wonderful opportunity for Reverend Swami Udayananji Maharaj, and thank you for all the devotees for this patient hearing, and wish you again a happy and prosperous New Year and a blessed Kalpataru day.
Thank you very much, Maharaj Ji, for such illuminating talk on the significance of Kalpataru Day, the day of self-revelation by Sri Ramakrishna, and also you expressed very beautifully the overcoming of fear, that is Abhaya Pradhana Divas, and also Ramakrishna saying that I shall make the whole thing public before I go, and also the rider, the caution, that is legitimate and illegitimate. So we should ask only the legitimate thing. And another attribute you mentioned, Sri Ramakrishna graced many people. But what is the significance of January 1, 1886, when in large number whosoever present received his grace, that is, Sri Ramakrishna uplifted that person from being human being to the divine level. So before we go to question answer session, I just wanted to refresh people. We also have today part 2 of the session where Sri Ramakrishna prayer will be done. Swami Udarananda ji will perform the prayer, and also two Ramakrishna songs will be played to be concluded by Sri Ramakrishna Saranam. And also we want to let you know that that tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Philippines, Singapore, Hong Kong time, which is 5:00 p.m. India time, and 12:30 p.m. noon time in Grace, France, Swami Devapriyanandaji will speak on meaning and significance of worship of Sri Ramakrishna and the meaning of evening prayers of the Ramakrishna. Every day we pray to Sri Ramakrishna Khandana Bhava Vandana, but most of the time we are not meaningful of those words, and also Sri Ramakrishna Puja Paddhati. So Devapriyanandaji will explain that. So with these words, and to reminder to you that tomorrow 5:00 p.m. India time, 7:30 p.m. Singapore, Philippines, and Hong Kong time, and 12:30 p.m. noon time in France, will be having this lecture by Devapriyanandaji. So really, we are so lucky to have Santi Bretanandaji with us now. He will, if we have got any doubt, any clarification, any question, one by one you can ask. You can unmute yourself, identify yourself. Let us, in order to accommodate more questions, that is 4 to 5 questions, let us try to be brief. And once we finish, let us mute ourselves. So one by one you can ask your question. Thank you very much.
Maharaj Pranam. This is
Namaste.
Maharaj, I have a question. I just wanted to know from you. I read it somewhere, I don't remember. When this entire episode was reported to Srishima, who happens to be in the same house, what was her reaction? I forgot it, so I just wanted to know this again. What was Ma's reaction when this entire episode was reported to her?
Yeah, exactly. Even I do remember. Probably I presume that there is no great in that. Like Sri Ramakrishna bless the devotees and etc. Yes, it is so. It is true. See, for any direct disciple, and for everyone, it was very obvious for all of them. Even because Mahaprabhu says also in one place that Sri Ramakrishna was always there was no need of Kalpataru on that particular day.
Please mute your mic. If you are not speaking, kindly mute your mic. Please, that's my humble request. Okay, ma'am. Maharaj, carry on.
Yeah, Mahaprabhu also said that when they speak about this Kalpataru thing, immediately says, see, Sri Ramakrishna was always Kalpataru. Then there was no need of only January 1st of Kalpataru. Why? Because we have witnessed that Sri Ramakrishna's grace had liberated hundreds of people. We have seen, Mahaprabhu said. But on that day, he blessed people in a large scale. That's all the difference, he says, Mahaprabhu. So even Sharat Maharaj or any monastic people or monks, they were never felt any great about it actually. Because they were able to see the divine Leela of Sri Ramakrishna in much more bigger scale. So probably even Holy Mother also, that would have been the same thinking, I believe. But particularly I never came across whether Mother has said anything particular comment about it.
So there is no, I read somewhere, Maharaj, maybe I am completely wrong, but so there is no reported reaction from Holy Mother on that day's event?
I have not, till now I have never heard anything.
Okay, Maharaj. Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. That's all I heard.
Maharaj, I have heard, that's all I know.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Next question. Please introduce yourself and you can ask the question. Unmute yourself. Anandji, you want to ask something?
Pranam Maharaj, this is Anand Chiplunker from Pune. One thought which came to my mind is that when you have a wish fulfilling person in front of you, you also need to have the intelligence to ask the right thing. And what should we be doing to have that frame of mind to ask the right thing?
So the safe prayer will be, please bless me by which my life is taken care. Instead of asking, give this, give that, don't give this, don't give that, instead of asking particularly, giving a list of whatever. So whichever brings good for me, whichever uplifts me, whichever makes me better humankind, or whichever makes me to understand who am I in reality, please give me. So such type of safe prayer may be better, I feel, if you're not clear about what you want.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Jana, do you have any question? If Jana is there,
Yes.
okay,
Yes,
please
sir.
go ahead.
Sir, actually, I was about to type something. Again, very happy to hear this encounter with Sri Ramakrishna. Actually, earlier I went to the. Oh, there's someone still unmuted. Anyway, earlier I was at the center, and this is January 1st. We were not really familiar with the celebration of Kalpataru because as a predominantly Christian and here in the Philippines, we celebrate January 1st as a brand new year, unlike in some lunar calendar countries. Countries who celebrate the lunar calendar or use that as their date uh, of reference. Now, I was pulling my card because it was stuck in the center, and all the time I was praying, just a humble prayer, like Thakur, Ma, Swamiji, Jesus, please help us get this thing done for the day, make this a new year for everyone, like a safe trip on the road, simple things. It's like when Swamiji was asked by, uh, he asked Thakur to pray to the Holy Mother, to the Divine Mother. And when Swamiji went to the Holy Mother, he couldn't ask for a job or anything. He just went straight up worshiping her. So it's not really a wish like a, a worldly wish. It's more of like, give us safety, give us security. We're encountered by the pandemic. So just give us a safe healthy life ahead. We don't wish for anything worldly, nothing like that. It's just, and then we gladly, my brother and I, got the car from the center to our home, and just a simple wish. We don't wish anything like nothing, no accidents to happen. It's just a kind of pure kind of offering to the Lord. So it's like I was praying to Thakur, please make us reach our home safely. And that's just about it. I didn't ask for anything. I think it's the way with Kalpataru that you have to. The gentleman who asked earlier, it was interesting. Um, what to ask? It's more of like what can you offer, I guess. So if like you don't have the proper state of mind at that time, just surrender and say, Tucker, what can I do for you? Uh, just make the day an offering instead of like asking. So yeah, that's a very good insight that the gentleman said earlier, and the Swamiji very profoundly discussed. I was very everyone. I suppose everyone who was listening this lecture is very blessed today on the Kalpataru Day. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Jana.
Yes, Swami Sarvananda's mention that you just recounted is that legitimate and illegitimate wish. So that I think we must have that kind of distinction in terms of our prayers. Shirish, do you have any question? If you have, please you can ask quickly.
Yes, Nirmata, thank you for that. Namaskar, Maharaj. I'm
Namaste.
Sirish. Yeah, one question I have is even in Christian theology, it says you have to, ensure that God's will flows through you. Basically, you touched upon a point where the surrender or the power of attorney should be given to God. But how do you know that what is God's will, Maharaj? you want something, your mind always lays a trap about your liking. Always, you think that that is God's will. Sometimes, how do you know what is God's will and what is not? What is your little ego's will?
Yeah. See, this is a very tricky and very sensitive question also. So at least that's the reason I tell that every sadhaka, every spiritual aspirant has a 2 stages. The first stage where the Purusha Prayatna, self-effort and God's grace, both should go hand in hand. I cannot say everything as a God's wish because I've got my own desires. And also, I don't allow God to intervene in my life as a block because I've got my strong individuality. I've got my strong thinkings, etc., etc. So initially, definitely it is not possible. Where when our ego has gone matured enough, where we have got a spiritual maturity, emotional maturity, intellectual maturity, and we become a clean, like slate, like a clean glass. When the clean glass is there, you'll be able to see things other side as it is. Otherwise, if it has got a shade, something, it has got some tinge, a color tinge, then we'll be seeing that particular thing plus the color. So similarly, till our mind is not clear and till mind is not clean and pure to larger extent, we'll not be able to understand whether it's a God's will or my will. So we have to take it and go along. When our mind is pure to larger extent, then only we'll be able to understand whether it is God's will or not. Okay, that's what my understanding is. So till then, so what we can do then? So how to take decisions? So one is believe in God and go ahead, one thing. And second thing, whatever is possible from your side, keep doing good things. Keep doing good things, keep doing better things.
And do you think, by the time Girish Chandra Ghosh, actually, when Sri Ramakrishna said, you give power of attorney to me, is Girish's mind so clear, Maharaj? I know this is of no use for us, but I want to understand, is it really, he was also like in the world, I would say, at that point of time. So how could he give the entire power of attorney at that point of time?
Because he understood his limitations of his mind or intellect. Because Sri Ramakrishna asked, okay, you try to remember God morning and evening once. Morning once and evening once, that's enough for you. That's what his guru is saying. He says, no, I cannot do because I don't know what state I will be. Then he said, otherwise, okay. Whenever you are able to remember God, at least you remember.
Okay.
He says, then also, no, even that also I cannot promise because I don't know in what state I will be. Then he said, then if you're not able to do anything, then you give me your power of attorney, then I will take it. So have we understood the limitation of our mind and intellect, like Girish Chandra Ghosh?
Okay.
So power of attorney.
You will be able to. That's why we can see in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Karpanya dosho bhavata svabhava puchami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha yachraya sanishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapam. He gave a big lecture about the evil effects of war and etc. In the first chapter, we can see in Bhagavad Gita. The second chapter, he starts telling, I am confused, I am baffled, I am not able to decide what is right, what is wrong. So please accept me as your disciple and instruct me. This was told by Arjuna. Then only Bhagavad Gita started. Then only Krishna started to teach. Otherwise, simply was hearing. Because he understood the limitations of his mind and intellect, and he took the shelter at the feet of his own friend, Krishna. And he said, please accept me as a disciple and instruct me what to do and what not to do. Then he started doing things.
But Maharaj, I'm sorry again. I'm asking one more follow-up question on that. If we understand that limitation, and do you think we will perform better in world? Because again, you know that you're not supreme. You harp on limitations more than what you can do. We will limit us in the world.
Yeah, you will be free from delusion at least.
Okay. Okay.
Power of attorney is a very important issue. Shantibratananda ji mentioned complete surrender, complete sincerity. Many of us cannot reach the level of Girish Chandra Ghosh, who was a sinner in some respect, as Shantibratananda ji Maharaj told, but he was sincere to the core. in many respects. So we have if somebody has a very specific question, last question,
May
you can. Yes, please,
May
please go
Pranam
ahead.
Samaraji. Pranam Samaraji, myself Nilanjan from Kolkata. My question is that it has often been pointed out that during the occurrence of the Kalpataru event, the monastic disciples were absent, and it was primarily happening to the lay disciples or the householder disciples. So, is there any particular significance to that? I would say this presence of only householding disciples.
Because Sri Ram probably again, Sri Ramakrishna had said for their monastic disciples, whatever is there, it is everything is yours only. Sri Ramakrishna had told his monastic disciples many times that whatever is there, means pointing to his body, he said, whatever is here, everything is yours. So there was no special necessity of Kalpataru, being a Kalpataru for them, because already they had got his grace and etc. etc. So there was no necessity. And whereas
Okay,
for the householder disciples at that point, if not all of them, many of them, they had a necessity, so they got it.
yeah. So the revelation was specifically, particularly meant for the householding disciples.
Yeah, because from 2 points. Because most of the monastic disciples were able to understand who is Sri Ramakrishna. 1 point. Second thing, already they had got in so many ways, the divine grace of Sri Ramakrishna for them. And it is not that householder devotees didn't get or they didn't understand who Sri Ramakrishna, I don't say that. But already they had got it. Probably there was no necessity for it.
Okay, Maharaj, thank you so much, Pranams.
Thank you so much, Maharajji, for being with us and on this important day and almost a time which is synchronous with actual happening of the Kalpataru event that we heard your Amrit Bani, and you explained in such lucid way, simple way, what it was about. And you gave us, apart from self-revelation, Abhay Pradhan, that is coming out, getting away from the fear. So now I would request sort of Hiranya to give vote of thanks, and then we'll go to the part 2 of the program. We are so happy and delighted that Maharajji will spare another 20-25 minutes to be part of the prayers. So now I would request Hiranya to give vote of thanks to Maharajji, Shantibratananda ji, and also the participants. Hiranya.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, on behalf of all the disciples, not just from Manila, Philippines, from all over the world, India, we would like to convey our heartfelt thanks for this wonderful lecture, Maharaj. And every time I listen, today morning when I was talking to Nirmal told me today's topic is the significance of Kalpataru days. Several times I have gone through this lecture, but I must say that today when I came to listen to a lecture, I really got to know several new things. That is the main contribution of your lecture, Maharaj. It was not a same old lecture, but I got to know many new things. Thank you again, and heartfelt thanks and pranam, Maharaj.
Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maharajji. It is so kind and sweet of you, and also all our participants from all around the globe to be a part of the celebration. And it's a very, very important day, and many people don't know in fullness about the significance of Kalpataru. So Udanandaji will start the Arati, and so please wait for the Arati, and Khandana Bhava Vandana, and tomorrow's lecture exactly is very, very important, because we'll get to know about Ramakrishna Mission Puja Paddhati, and also we'll get to know the meaning of Khandana Bhava Vandana. Many times we sing, but without fully knowing or fully internalizing the meaning of the Khandana Bhava Vandana. So now give me 30 seconds. I will play the prayer. Swami Udaranaji will do the prayer, Khandana Bhava Vandana, which is written and composed by Swami Vivekananda himself. Please give me 30 seconds. So we have just ended the Arati. Now
Saregama Karva Mini. Robindra.
we have just ended the Arati. We will now play one very important devotional number by Swami Sarvaganandaji Maharaj. Hope you will like it. Please give me 30 seconds to start that song. You can sing the song also. You can keep yourself muted and sing the song, beautiful song, and all of you will, I'm sure you'll like it. Please give me 30 seconds. So now we are going to approach our third song. You will enjoy singing that song. This is also sung by Sarvagananda Swami Sarvagananda himself. Sri Ramakrishna Sharanam, Sri Ramakrishna Sharanne. So this is very, very eminently suitable song to remember the grace of Thakur, Sri Ramakrishna. So give me 30 seconds to play that song. You can sing this beautiful Ramakrishna Sharanne song, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam song. You can keep yourself muted and sing it. Please give me 30 seconds.
Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam Sharanye. Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam Sharanye. कृपा हि केवलं कृपा हि केवलं कृपा हि केवलं शरण्ये कृपा हि केवलं कृपा हि केवलं कृपा हि केवलं शरण्ये रामकृष्ण शरणं रामकृष्ण शरणं रामकृष्ण शरणं शरण्ये शरणागतोऽहं 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 शरण्ये शरणागतोऽहं 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 शरण्ये रामकृष्ण शरणं रामकृष्ण शरणं रामकृष्ण शरणं शरण्ये नमः श्री गुरवे नमः श्री गुरवे नमः श्री गुरवे नमो नमः नमः श्री गुरवे नमः श्री गुरवे नमः श्री गुरवे नमो नमः रामकृष्ण शरणं रामकृष्ण शरणं रामकृष्ण शरणं शरण्ये रामकृष्ण शरणं रामकृष्ण शरणं रामकृष्ण शरणं शरण्ये रामकृष्ण रामकृष्ण जय जय रामकृष्ण 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 रामकृष्ण शरणं रामकृष्ण शरणं रामकृष्ण शरणं शरण्ये रामकृष्ण शरणं रामकृष्ण शरणं रामकृष्ण शरणं शरण्ये
We have just concluded today's part 2 of the program, or that is Kalpataru Day Part 2. And before we depart, we can have 5 minutes of informal session where you can offer pranam or you can offer pranam. We can offer pranam and greetings to Maharaj Ji. And before that, let me remind you, we are assembling tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Philippine, Singapore, and Hong Kong time, which is 5:00 p.m. India, and which is 12:30 noon time in Great France, French France time, where tomorrow Deva Priyananda ji will speak on Ramakrishna worship system and also the meaning of evening prayer of Sri Ramakrishna, that is Khandana Bhava Vandana. So please try to attend. It will be quite interesting and quite you have takeaways, and we are so grateful to Shantibratananda Ji Maharaj to give us so many takeaways on Kalpataru Divas. And so I will now conclude the recording